Hair is up because baking when your hair is down is just poor form. Am I right? My trusty little apron because I don't have a full length apron. I actually have it in my car and I use it when I eat in my car because yeah, anyway, my trusty little apron. Gotta put that on and let's get started. This is my handsome boy Pepper. He's almost 16 years old, just in a few weeks. And my name is Sherry from Twin Sisters Mastectomy Boutique. And today we are going to be doing story time while baking. Yeah, and Pepper is going to assist me, or maybe not. Oh, he's such a good boy. He's such a good boy. Mwah. Yeah, okay. I love me some Billie Eilish. In fact, I think I might even go on her website and buy some t-shirts because I hear that they are readily available and she's pretty cool. Today, what am I going to do? I'm going to tell you about some of my most memorable clients who, who still take up real estate in my head. And most of my clients, 99.9% of my clients are absolutely amazing. The kindest, sweetest, most generous, thoughtful people you will ever meet. But there's that small percentage who just, you know, they are something else. And I just think about them all the time because they're just unbelievable. But that's just like a small portion of people. But while I'm doing that, I'm going to bake some blueberry scones. No, I'm not baking blueberry scones. I'm baking lemon cranberry scones. But I'm using the recipe from the Preppy Chef, and I'll link that below because I love his recipes. This isn't sponsored. I don't know the guy, but everything I make is easy and it turns out really well. So I'm going to be doing that, but I'm going to take these ordinary scones and elevate them a little bit. Did you see that? Yeah. So at least I'm going to do my best because I am no chef. I cannot teach anybody how to do anything. And I'm not going to be teaching you how to make scones. I'm just going to be doing this so that you're not just bored looking at my beautiful face while I tell you these stories. Here's the recipe, or here's the ingredient. 2 cups of all-purpose flour, but I ran out of all-purpose flour, so it was mostly all-purpose flour. And there was a couple of tablespoons of whole wheat flour. Half a cup of granulated sugar, 2 teaspoons baking powder, 1 teaspoon salt, half a cup cold unsalted butter. I'm going to be using a cup of dried cranberries, and here's where I elevate. I'm going to be using some white chocolate chips. Why not? 1 zest of a lemon, 3/4 cup heavy cream, and one large egg, but I only have a medium egg. I don't think it's going to be a big hairy deal. Now let's be clear. The name of this video is titled Never Ever, because you never ever want to take cooking instructions from me or baking instructions. That's why, you know, I'm using this this other recipe from somebody who knows what they're doing, and then I'm just elevating it to my taste. Somebody else might think it's not an elevation, but hey, I'm here to like have fun and make mistakes, right? You get what I'm saying. So let me start with a story of when I was in university, and this kind of leads to a client story. And while I do that, I'm going to grab my lemon because I love lemons and I have a ton of them and I have to use them up. And I'm going to grate this lemon so that I can get the lemon zest. Kind of elevated it so you can see what I'm doing, or else it's just gonna be weird looking. That smells so good. The story starts way back when I was in university. And I had a friend who took a class with me, or I actually met her in that class. My degree's in psychology, but I took some elective classes, as one does. And one of the classes I took was in sign language, American Sign Language. And it was just very interesting, and I liked the course, and I met this friend in that class, and we're gonna call her Kim, not her real name. So I met Kim, and we were friends, and we studied together. And in this class, sign language class, the tests were a little bit different because the professor was deaf. And so he would do his signs at the front of the class, and then you would write down what the signs were. And one of the signs was for Ireland. It was for Ireland, and I thought potato. And so I wrote down potato. And then a few days later, my friend who was in the class with me got a message from the professor saying, you need to come and talk to me because I think you cheated. You got the same answers for some of your questions as Sherry, and specifically this one question was very telling. So she was all panicked, and she said, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And she said, I only looked at that one question. I promise it was only that one question. I cheated from you, which, if that's highly unlikely. If you're going to cheat on one question, you're probably going to cheat on the others. And I should say this person is a nurse now, so it's frightening that she cheats on her test, because I'm sure this wasn't her first or last time. But anyway, we were like, oh my gosh, what are we going to tell the guy? And so I said, look, we study together. Maybe we both just studied the wrong thing together, and because we studied together, we got the wrong answer. And she's like, yeah, okay. So anyway, he didn't kick her out of the class, but he had his eyes on her. So the reason I'm telling this story is because the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Every time I make this recipe, I do something wrong. This time I added the lemon zest to the flour instead of the sugar, but it all gets mixed together anyway, so we'll see what happens. I'm sure it'll turn out fine because it always does. Egg and cream. So here's the thing. Years later, we still kept in touch after university, and we were friends. And she revealed to me, and I appreciate her trusting me, that her mom had a mastectomy. And she said, I'm going to get my mom to come down and see you because, we want to support our friends. Cranberries, 1 cup. White chocolate chips, I don't know if this will throw off the ratios or if, I don't know, I'm hoping they'll melt. It'd be like a white chocolate chip melt throughout the scones. That's what I'm hoping for. So I'm going to put in a handful. I don't know, maybe 2 handfuls. So I said, absolutely, bring your mom in. I will take very good care of her. And I did. I, made sure that she had everything she needed. I, gave her a little gift that had nothing to do with mastectomy, but I wrapped everything up for her. I did all of her paperwork, everything I do for pretty much everybody. But then her mom was inquiring about swimwear, and she was very petite. So I went out of my way. I brought in extra swimwear that I knew I'd probably never sell because she was so tiny. But I did it for her because I'm like, this is my friend, and I'm going to support my friend and her family and her mom. And I went out of my way. I bent over backwards. I came in, during hours that I didn't normally work, but I wanted to support her. And so she bought her items, and that was fine. And then she came back to me for a follow-up visit and bought some more stuff, and that was fine. And then she came back a 3rd time. And here's where it gets interesting. She came in and she said, my insurance only covered X amount of dollars, and I have a balance of let's say it was $250 left over. And I said, yeah, we discussed that when you made your purchases that, your insurance company only covers so much. And the Ontario government grant program only covers so much. So you might have a balance, and, you were fine with it at the time. And she said, yeah, but here's the thing. I want you to write me a fake receipt that is for this amount so that I can claim it and get my money back. And that made me super uncomfortable because that's fraud. That's insurance fraud. And I don't want to commit insurance fraud because then we all pay more and it's not fair and it's not ethical. And it's not honest. And it could get my business in trouble and it could get her in trouble. And I didn't know how to say it without being offensive, like, oh, this is fraud. But later, I'll tell you what somebody advised me. But, I'm like, okay, what am I going to say to get out of this? Because I'm not going to do this for her. Right now, it looks kind of wet, but it will firm up. So I racked my brain and I was like, I can't do that for you because if I write a false receipt, then it'll look like I made that extra $250 and then I'm going to get taxed on it. So I can't really do that. And she had the audacity to say to me, wait for it. She said, yeah, you'll get taxed for it, but it won't be $250. What? So you're okay with me taking money out of my pocket so that you can rip off the government? Of course, I didn't say that. I was just horrified. And I said, well, I can't do that. And I said, I think that could get me in trouble and it could get you in trouble. So, I'm not going to be able to do that for you. And I said, let's just go into the fitting room and we'll complete your appointment. And she said, no, you're not supporting me. I'm not supporting you. And she got up, got her stuff, and walked out of my boutique. I was shocked. Like, I always treat family and friends the best I can. And she knows I'm a friend of her daughter's and she would treat me that way. That shocked me. And so I was kind of embarrassed for her and embarrassed for my friend. I thought, oh my gosh, what is my friend going to say? I expected that she would call me up and apologize for her mom's behavior, even though she wasn't there. I'm sure her mom would go home and tell her. Never heard from that friend again. And I'm thinking back and I'm like, I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree because her mom was willing to rip off the insurance companies and my friend was willing to lie her way through university. And I'm thinking, that lady, I'm sure I'm not the first person that she asked to write false claims. And so how many insurance companies has she ripped off? Because one day somebody's going to call her out on it. Either she's going to be investigated by an insurance company or there's going to be an investigation of an insurance company that's ripping people off or ripping off the system or whatever. And, it's people are going to find out. She's going to get in trouble. All the places that, wrote false receipts for her are going to get in trouble. And quite frankly, I'm not going to lose my business for somebody else. Like, really? So that was a super memorable client that I had, and she's on my blacklist. I'm never going to see her again. And I'm just amazed by the audacity of some people. Now, I have people all the time come in and say, well, could you fudge these numbers for me? Or could you do this and that? And you know what? It doesn't hurt to ask, but the answer is always going to be no. But, they're polite about it and that's it. And somebody once gave me advice. She was a naturopathic doctor, actually. We were having this discussion about how people ask us both to falsify information. And she said, I used to do the same thing, trying to be polite and not offend people. She says, now I just outright say that's fraud and I can't do it. And she says, and then they completely back off. And so I'm like, yeah, of course. So now that's what I do. I will say, I'm sorry, I can't do that. That would be considered fraud. I'm not rude about it, but I'm very clear. And some people still push. Well, can't you just, do it for me? No, I'm sorry. It's fraud, and we don't operate that way. And that is the best way to do it. I'm not trying to save anybody's feelings. They're certainly not trying to save my business. So yeah, that's what I do. I just come out right and say, and people are understanding. Like 99.99% people are absolutely amazing. And yeah, they ask. Doesn't hurt to ask. There's no crime in asking. But you're always going to get the same answer. So that is my most memorable, one of my most memorable clients. Another memorable client, this was really cool. It was a movie studio. And in Toronto, Etobicoke specifically is the area of Toronto that I work in. Apparently there's a lot of like movie theater, or like not theaters. Apparently there's a lot of like movie productions there. Apple TV and some other things. And one day I got a phone call from a movie set, and they said, hey, you know what? We're doing a period piece with Jason Momoa. Like, how awesome is that? He's, wow. And so they said, the leading lady, we need to increase her bust size, and we want something very natural because it's a period piece. So we're going to come down, and we need this bra. I think they wanted like a 34C bra, and the prosthesis, which at that time were size 4, which was the correct fitting, and they wanted a set of those. And I said, absolutely. So I got them a set of size 4, and then so it was the costume director who wanted this, and then they have an assistant, I guess, that goes out. So it was the assistant costume director person who came out to see me, and they said, yeah, we're going to come back, and we're probably going to get another set of these. And she was telling me that they have like such an unlimited budget. She says, you know, like the sky's the limit. So of course I just charged her the regular price because I'm not going to overcharge somebody or take advantage. Though some people told me I should have, like there's no way. But yeah, that was so cool. So, you know, there are often some movies being filmed in the area, or TV shows or something. There's a Schnitzel house right next to my office, and sometimes that Schnitzel house is rented out, and they like change the name of it on the outside, and they do some movie stuff there. I don't know what's so special about the Schnitzel house, but whatever. And so they, you know, they've seen my sign, and that was just so cool. And I thought, wow, that's so amazing. I would love to run into Jason Momoa. Like, wow, he seems like so funny, and I don't know, really, really handsome. But anyway, yeah, so that was pretty cool. Right now, this is a ball of dough, and I'm not going to overwork it because apparently that increases the gluten. So I'm going to roll this out, cut it into 8ths, and then put it in the freezer because that's what they're telling me to do on the instructions. I only have one camera, so this is it. It's rolled out like a giant cookie, about 8 inches around, and about almost an inch thick, and I'm going to cut it into 8ths and then stick it in the freezer. And now we wait 20 minutes, I think. Clearly, I am not a chef like the preppy chef, or, you know, Pamela Anderson's got that lovely program out now, cooking show or something. So clearly I'm taking my inspiration from these people, but it'll never happen. Never happen. So bear with me. We're not waiting. I forgot to add the butter. So now I have to go back. Okay, so I've cut up the butter, had it in the fridge for a little bit. Now I'm going to knead it back into the dough. I'm really glad I caught that before I cooked it, right? Before I baked it. Tell me in the comments down below if you've ever left out a main ingredient in a dish and what happened. Did it turn out? Did you remember? Could you even tell? Because I think this would have been a big deal because, you know, butter. But anyway, I'm going to knead this with my hands. They're all clean. And I'm breaking up the butter in chunks. You have to read the recipe. I don't know. This doesn't seem to be mixing the way it should. That's what happens when you do things in the wrong order. But you know what? I might have just discovered an amazing new twist to a recipe. So you never know. I'm sure it'll be delicious. I have kind of not big time messed up, but messed up a lot of recipes. And they always turn out like okay. In fact, they still turn out pretty good. And this one is kind of like hard to really mess up, which is why I like it. Okay, this is round 2 of me mixing it. Mixed it with the butter, I rolled it out, cut it up, and it's going back in the freezer for 20 minutes. And you know, it's not about being perfect. Out of the freezer and into the oven. Alexa, set a timer for 23 minutes.
23 minutes. Start.
My next memorable client was a woman I met on a webinar. Once a month, I volunteer with a cancer organization, and I do a webinar on breast care, prosthesis, mastectomy bras, post-mastectomy garments, the whole thing. And because it's online, it reaches, you know, people all over Canada. And this woman just happened to be about 2 hours away from my boutique. And, you know, I can see her on the webinar, and she says to me, you know, Sherry, I've been trying to find a post-op bra after my surgery. I need, you know, a mastectomy bra and a breast prosthesis. And I've been told that they don't make bras, mastectomy bras, in my size, and that I have to get it custom made. And I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, that doesn't make sense to me. In Canada, we all have access to the same suppliers. So, you know, I said, I'm really confused by this because I don't think I would have a problem fitting you. And I have to say, in this webinar, we never say where we're from. Like, they don't know I'm from Twin Sisters Mastectomy Boutique because it's not about advertising my business. It's about volunteering and helping. And, you know, she was saying, well, you know, I've been told over and over again. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right to me. I'm sure that you can be fit. And so the moderator actually took extraordinary steps, which never happens, where she said, you should actually look Sherry up and find out where she is. And that's what this lady did. She looked me up, made an appointment, drove the 2 hours to see me, and we fit her with a bra and a prosthesis without any problem. I had mastectomy bras in stock that were her size. She had multiples to choose from, and it wasn't an issue. And I really remember this lady because, you know, she's already been through this devastating surgery and diagnosis, and then she's being made to feel, you know, that she is outside of the normal range of fitting, when in fact she wasn't. She was a lovely woman. She was easily fit with a mastectomy bra, a couple of them, and, you know, a breast prosthesis. And I think she visited me a couple of times, and she was so happy. She was like, oh my goodness. And this isn't just a mastectomy bra, it's a pretty bra. And it was supportive and it was comfortable. And she was so happy. And I was really happy for her too, because she came in feeling kind of hopeless, and she left feeling elated and happy and really good about herself. And that's the way everybody should feel when they leave my boutique. So here we go. They're still sizzling right out of the oven. They smell so good. You can smell the hint of lemon. A little too hot for me to try right now, but I can't wait. They look good. They smell good. And I'm really happy that you joined me today. The title of this, you know, little video today is Never Ever, because you never ever want to bake with me, but yeah, these turned out well. Anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment down below. We'd love to hear from you, and we appreciate your support. Thanks, and we'll see you soon.